The second pick will be made by the San Antonio Spurs, and that means that the number 1 pick in the 2025 NBA draft goes to the Dallas Mavericks.
The Dallas Mavericks just won the NBA draft lottery. What the? That's insane. But what's even more insane is the fact that the Spurs, the league's 8th worst team, and the Sixers, the league's 5th worst team, got the 2nd and 3rd picks respectively. The odds of what just happening are 0.015%. Again, I say, what the? But here's the thing, despite this seeming so crazy, the NBA draft lottery actually has a long and very suspicious history of teams that don't deserve the number 1 pick getting the number 1 pick. So today, we're going to figure out, is the NBA draft scripted? Oh, we did that already? What about rigged? Is rigged good? Rigged? Yeah, okay. Is the NBA draft rigged? Here we go! So for the sake of conversation, we're only going to talk about the past 25 years of rigging. I mean, lottery selections. But before we get into it, do you know how the lottery even works? Contrary to popular belief, the top 14 teams with a lottery level pick do not all have their balls individually chosen by the lottery. Instead, only the top 4 teams have their picks decided by ping pong balls. The remaining teams who aren't drawn then have their picks determined by their original odds to land the number 1 overall pick. I know it's complicated and there's honestly more to it than just that, but bottom line, it results in the statistic that the 3 worst teams in the NBA all have a 14% chance to land the number 1 pick. In the history of the NBA draft lottery, there have been 4 number 1 overall picks that have gone to suspect teams that seemingly didn't deserve the player they got. Patrick Ewing to the Knicks, Kyrie Irving to the Cavaliers, Zion Williamson to the Pelicans, and Cooper Flagg to the Mavericks. In 3 of these cases, each pick was awarded to a team immediately following a season that they lost a superstar to a big market team. The conspiracy theory goes something like this. The NBA, wanting more ratings, makes a deal with a team. Send your superstar to X big market team to boost ratings, and in return, we'll reward you with next year's generational pick. LeBron leaves Cleveland to go to Miami, and the Cavs get Kyrie. Anthony Davis goes to the Lakers, and the Pelicans get Zion. And Luka is traded to LA, and the Mavericks get Cooper Flagg. The odds of these picks being 2.8, 6, and 1.8% respectively, far below the 14% odds that the 3 worst teams share. But here's the thing. The actual drawing of the number 1 pick is done behind closed doors. Imagine if I told you that I'm going to flip a coin, and if it's heads, I'm going to give you $1 million. But if it's tails, I'm going to shoot you in the fucking head. Now, why in the hell would you let me make a decision that controls the future of your existence behind closed doors? That's how these teams feel. I went and interviewed the biggest Hornets fan that I know about his feelings on the lottery.
How does it feel being a fan of a small market team that's in the lottery every year? Well, you kind of get detached from the sport a little bit. Not like as a whole, right? Like I still enjoy basketball, saying that I would enjoy it anyways, but you kind of start seeing it as more of like a product, right? You're not, I've invested. I'm investing. There's players I like. I have teams I picked to win, teams I didn't pick to win, players I dislike, things like that, right? But you're a lot less bought in on success. You're more watching it as like an entertainment product instead of as like an experience. You know what I mean? Like there's never been a Hornets game where I'm like, this will change how I feel for the next 2 days. At most, it's we lose, that sucks. We win, hey, cool. I feel great for the rest of the day, right? But you start to become a fan of the league itself instead of just your team, because there's only so much you can really enjoy when your games are so meaningless.
And I don't blame them. Living in North Carolina, our NBA team is the Charlotte Hornets, and they've literally not won a playoff series in my lifetime. We have been begging and praying for a star to come to Charlotte and save this destitute franchise that we're cursed with. But instead, the generational talent this time went to the Mavericks, a franchise dumb enough to piss away their own star. So why not just give them another one? So, after doing all the math and calculating all the odds, I've come to a conclusion. Is the NBA lottery rigged? Absolutely fucking not. Now, as dumb as this might be, this is by design. You gotta remember that the worst team only has a 14% chance of getting the first pick. That means there's an 86% chance that's not gonna happen. Nick Wright really just put it best.
The modern draft lottery being rigged is one of the dumbest conspiracies going in America because it is so easily disprovable. Literally hundreds of parties involved to the benefit seemingly of really no one individually and to the detriment of everybody potentially. You would need the owner of the Wizards to be like, when's it going to be rigged for us, guys? I've been participating in this jam for 30 years.
They have to be.
So if it's not rigged, then what is fueling this angry sentiment among all fans? Yeah, Wizards, Hornets, Jazz fans, I get they're mad, but why is everyone else so upset? I think we all know who's spreading this. Yada, yada, yada. Sports media sucks. We get it. You've all seen a 4-4 video before, I'm sure. You know I fucking hate sports media. Let's move on. However, just because it's not rigged doesn't mean that this is a system that works. The whole reason the NBA has a draft lottery is to decentivize tanking and incentivize teams into making smart, culture-building draft decisions rather than just betting it all on a once-in-a-generation talent. Here's the problem though. It still doesn't work. So many teams still tank. Just this past year, there are 7 teams that I can confidently say intentionally lost all their games after the All-Star break. The simple reality is that basketball is just too star-driven of a sport for teams to risk not landing that generational talent, and they'll do whatever is possible to get him. Bottom line is, shit's just not rigged, so don't believe it is. Please.
Do I have faith my team can build a contender without the number 1 overall pick? Do I have faith that a team can? Yes, it's already happened plenty of times. Do I think my team can? It's a little bit harder. Obviously, you're not going to attract many free agents, and our front office is basically brand new, so on if they're good or not is still up in the air. It's more so a matter of, will it happen? Do I think so? I mean, these things tend to stay the same. The same couple of teams are good every single year, or throughout, if you look at a decade, right? The same couple of teams are going to be dominating those decades that were dominating the last couple. You just kind of get to a point where you're like, yeah, I just kind of assume that we're not going to be good until I see it with my own 2 eyes. Again, you get to a point where you're so disconnected from your team's success. I don't really care about the Hornets until we're winning or we're losing. It's just such I hope my team is good someday. I like my players. For the agenda, I hope they get awards. I hope the team plays well. You don't really care. You say, yep, another year of being bad. That's what I'm used to. I'm just waiting for the playoffs. I'm watching LeBron. I'm watching Luka. I'm watching Giannis. I'm watching Jokic. I'm not really too concerned about my team anymore because it just gets to a point where you don't even care. You just literally don't even care. Okay, we're bad. Yeah, okay. Shocker.